looking for the ultimate Alaska experience and the best value in Alaska, it's Kingfisher Charters. Owner Seth Bone and his crew consistently deliver deluxe accommodations, the finest food, world-class fish processing, and top-of-the-line fishing experience. We've literally sent hundreds of our listeners to Kingfisher, and they all can't wait to go back. Most Alaska resorts make big promises, and they don't deliver, or they'll nickel and dime you to drive up the cost, but not Kingfisher. Everything is included. Your license, fish processing, super deluxe accommodations, amazing food, airport transfers, your gear. Literally all you need to bring is your layer clothing, and Kingfisher covers the rest. They also have the finest boats and charter captains in Sitka, all for the ultimate value. Take it from me, book your trip to Kingfisher Charters and you'll thank me. Kingfisher Charters, 800-727-6136, or check kingfishercharters.com.
Hey, San Diego, the Ford Get Holiday Ready sales event is going on now at your San Diego County Ford dealers. The biggest deals of the year to finish 2024, featuring America's best-selling truck, Ford F-Series, leading for 47 straight years. Or check out the full lineup of versatile Ford SUVs, including Bronco or Bronco Sport. Don't wait. Come take a test drive today. Get holiday ready only at your local San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up.
All right. Good morning. Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and looking forward to today's show, Rick, and having Brando and all of us in here having a great time.
I'm so excited to be with you guys this morning. Two of my best friends in the world, and we're sitting here talking fishing on the radio. It's like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Today's going to be cool. I thought about it driving in, and I've been lucky enough to get to do this my whole life. You know, I've done Let's Talk Hookup longer than I haven't. And I've been lucky enough to go fishing a whole bunch, and I really like doing it. And I was thinking, like, how unique today is. Like, there's not I've been lucky enough to be around the tackle part of it and the fishing part of it for a long time, and I'm very comfortable and confident in my things. And I thought how cool it is today. Like, when I have a question about certain things, there's not a ton of people that I call, and like two people at the top of that list are sitting across from me today. And yeah, I just can't wait. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. There's two people here today that do this because they like fishing more than anything there is. And it's just so unique to have both of you guys doing the show today with me. Like, Brandon doesn't have a social media, doesn't do it because he wants people to hear about it, doesn't do it to please a sponsor. Like, Brandon fishes more than any single person that I know. And I know a lot of people who like to do it an awful lot. And Cory, I feel the same way. Like, you have a social media because MC Swimbaits is supposed to. Yeah. I guarantee you don't know how to turn the thing on. I'm certain about it. Like, I know that for a fact. You know,
I can tell you one fact. I think there's been 3 posts in the last year. So.
It's for the love of it.
It is.
I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it today. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, if there's two guys in the world that when I have a fishing story and I have something I'm super excited about that I have to call and tell or tell them about this cool thing that I did, it's the two of you sitting here, and here we are on the radio talking, doing it in on the air. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Nothing but good times.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's going to be so unique about today is that we let the callers, Brandon, I don't think you've got to do this with Cory and I before, or maybe you have, but it's always a fun just to see where the show goes. You know, the callers are what are Let's Talk Hookup. You know, you guys are what make this show. Cory and I, Brandon, Pete, we're all just lucky enough to get to be here, but we just facilitate. We push the buttons, and, you know, you're the reason the car goes down the road. And so whether it be tackle or story or trips, like, I'm really looking forward to it.
I think it's the best fan base in all of like sport fishing. I can't point to another example. The community that listens to Let's Talk Hookup are just the best group of guys, and they always have been.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
That is. You know, top of my mind right now, listen to Danny Wade from last weekend.
Oh, surface iron wise?
Yeah, and listen to Benny yesterday. Like, if you missed yesterday's show, to go back on the app and listen to Benny Florentino and his son calling in, Matt. Super cool.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Dude, I'm getting fired up about maybe going surface iron fishing.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? I mean, it's something that I literally, if you listen to the show with Danny, I mean, I grew up, that was my deal, you know?
I loved it. I really like when Danny's in here, and I love his style, which it's like harsh to some and reality to others. And I think I like about Danny's the same thing. He's not trying to please a sponsor or a bud. He has no problem telling somebody that something's dumb when they're being dumb. and helping you when you ask a question. It was really cool.
I got to be honest, it would blow my mind to see Cory Sanden with a jig stick.
I'm telling you,
totally.
If there is not a giant slug being casted into kelp.
Well, but you have to understand that that's where that whole concept came from.
Yeah.
The whole slug over the kelp came from the passion of surface iron fishing. And how do I make a weedless?
Yeah, you were Cory the fisherman before you were Cory MC Swimbaits.
I truly would have to see this to believe it. I don't believe you could turn the handle slow enough to keep a surface iron in the water. I've watched you fish a slug, and it's mesmerizing. The technique that you have is so unique to you, and it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in Southern California sport fishing. It's so cool. And I've seen you fish a lot of different lures for a lot of different species. They all go at that speed. So to see you fish a surface iron would be very interesting.
Which isn't slow.
Yeah, it's not slow.
I can tell a story that I always like, and it's one of frustration with Brandon, because I know that you two fish together a lot.
Yeah.
And Cory, you are unique in that you don't care about how many fish you catch or even how many bites you get. Cory likes to catch a fish exactly the way that he set out to catch that fish in the morning. And that's what I think is awesome. You said it the best. When I love fishing a 5-inch Viejo, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I don't really fish. You make the greatest calico bass getting a bite lure on the planet. And you're like, yeah, I don't fish that way. I want to get my bites. So like, you know that they're low in the water column and they're not super fired up, and you could put a lead head and a Viejo on and catch 40 bass that day. But those 40 bass for Cory don't equal the excitement of the 9 bass that came up to the surface and ate the weedless on a speed wine. And you're more happy getting those 9 bites. And I'll hear something like, oh, the two of us went, freshwater bass fishing, and they were completely keyed in on this way. And I got 30 bites. I'm like, and what about Cory? Well, no, he got 8 bites, and they were all giant ones because he didn't care, because he wanted that fish to crush this lure that he fished his way, thrown in his spot in this certain pattern.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think you know me better than I know myself.
In my opinion, Cory Sanden is the Kevin Van Dam of saltwater bass fishing.
I agree.
And I have seen him literally force feed fish the thing that he wants to present. Right? I mean, pounding his head against the wall. He's going to get the bite, and that bite is going to be cooler than any other bite anybody else got that day.
Agreed.
But here's the thing. Like, you're talking about a bigger bait, maybe the big weedless or whatever, and I know I'm going to get a big bite. Like that, and if I'm that dedicated, that's
it's coming.
But that's probably what I'm after. I mean, is a big fish.
Yeah,
you don't care about 30 small ones.
No, but
not that there's anything wrong with it.
But on the other hand, I do.
Sure, I mean, get it.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the funnest things I've done in the last few years is the 5-inch weedless, catching 50 or 60 13 to 15-inch bass.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just circuming our local fishery. I mean, when I say local, I mean from San Diego to Palos Verdes, and in Santa Barbara too, is probably better than it's been in 30 years.
Really?
The calico fishery.
Is that
for
right?
sure.
That's
absolutely.
Awesome. Really?
Hands down. Before 10 years ago, and I heard the question come to Benny yesterday, how he feels about the current regulation, the changes that came, and I think it's been 9 years. And I think the initial aspect of it, the changes were supposed to come in like 3 years or 4 years, but it took.
You're talking the reduction to 5 fish and then the size limit up to 14-inch.
That's it. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. But it took 8 years for us to really see the impact in a positive way, because you could go out before and the fish that had been combed through, there was a tremendous amount of 11 to 12-inch fish. Who wants? I mean, it's still fun,
right?
But the current, there's so many like 13 to not 16, but 15-inch fish.
Right.
There's a tremendous amount. Like, and that's a pound and a half.
Yeah.
I
pull
remember,
hard. They bite good. They bite all the different things.
And there's a lot of like 2.5 pounders too.
Yeah.
You know, which
I remember when they changed those rules or those laws.
It kind of sucked.
A lot of people thought this was going to be the end of half day fishing and the end of local kelp bed fishing.
Yeah.
I certainly did. I thought I was kind of floored by it. And now you look at the half day counts and some of the guys coming back.
It's legit.
It's crazy the fishing that they're having.
Yeah, I mean we're in such a cool era. We really are.
Yeah.
I mean that's only one thing, but the yellowtail fishing, surface iron fishing, like at the islands this year,
totally amazing. All time, yeah.
Like
I mean,
25 years,
all time. I think is fair. Like maybe not ever, but certainly as long as I've been around here, which now is starting to be a number of years.
Yeah,
I don't ever remember it being that good for that long, for everyone in every place. You know, like there have been peaks and valleys where maybe you could argue this 1 week out of that season was better. The Coronado Islands was fantastic for months this year.
I would argue that the years of like 2015, 2016 potentially had equally as good yellowtail fishing at the islands or even better, but we were, and so many people like us, it was overshadowed by the wahoo fishing. You know, like we would ignore yellowtail full speed at the Coronado Islands to go catch a wahoo.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
it was fun. And what a year, you know, again, what a year to own a jig company. I mean, how fun has that been for you, a guy who have been dedicated, loving surface iron fishing your whole life, tremendous at it, to the point where you became partners with one of your best friends and an awesome guy in the, you know, in the industry with, you know, we've now got to talk to Bodan and Brala a bunch of times, and what a year to decide to own a surface iron company in one of the best surface iron yellowtail years around.
It was a total unexpected like blessing that you know, these two guys approached me for this opportunity, and it just kind of came naturally after we went to Cedros together. And what a year for surface iron fishing. And it, you know, all praise to Bodan and Matt Brala on the San Diego. They did such a good job in producing probably the finest jigs, surface irons on the market. And Brala just day in, day out, kicking their heads in with our product,
totally.
You know, and that really helped with promotion for sure.
It's cool to watch right now, seeing the San Diego doing their, you know, kind of back to old school, their 3/4 day run.
Yeah, how about that?
Up to La Jolla, and just they put their brand of SoCal sport fishing on it. We target trophies. There's plenty of opportunities for you to catch other things, but we really like fishing for game fish, and that's what we're going to spend our time doing. And this last week, there was some fantastic scores of local yellowtail, and I mean, damn it, half of those fish had a 2-fish jigs hanging out of their mouth. They really did. You know, I mean, you can't lie when you see the video that Matt puts up of the night of a 25-pound local yellowtail coming up to the gaff with a giga hanging out of its mouth.
I found it super interesting that me and Matt Brala were going bass fishing maybe 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me about this new local run that they were going to do, this 7 to 3 3/4 day trip. And he was so excited for the opportunity to fish the coast. How often do you talk to a captain who's like fired up, tingling to go explore some new area? And he found success. He killed them. You know?
Really How cool fun. Is that? Is that fish on squid? Is it like I see the counts, and you know, for the last week I haven't dove into it, but I mean, is it on squid? Is it on bait? Is it up on?
There's definitely squid around, and there's been times that all the boats have had squid available, and the majority of the time it's our fin bait like normal. But I think a lot of that fish is similar to how they've been catching it. They drive around, they fish for it, they see it, they put bait on it, they get it activated, it bites the fly line, maybe it bites the squid, maybe it bites the lure. Like, it's just, you know, it's their brand of fishing. Drive around, hunt it down, find it, get over the top of it, get it fired enough that it wants to start biting, and then it's up to us to decide what offering you give it. And it seems like the bites have been spread out on a little bit of everything, on bait, on yo-yo jigs, on surface jigs. It's pretty cool to watch, and the grade is awesome.
Yeah,
and they're all nice ones.
Slugs for sure.
I like it.
Yeah, really, really cool. You know, Cory, you were talking about slug fishing and big bite fishing. I want to go back. I think one of the coolest innovations that you ever did was when you had developed the slug, and guys were getting so many big bites, and that fishery was starting to happen. And then you came out with your first generation of that 8-inch weedless. And I remember you talking about it and said it's almost the same thing. You can put it in basically all of the same places, and it will still draw a bite from a giant fish, but you also get a bunch of bites from a fish that is 14 inches long, has no problem eating that lure. And I remember the beginning of getting to fish that thing. It was the coolest lure to get to fish when you developed that, because it was a way of not only, giving an opportunity, getting a trophy bite on something local, but also spending your day still getting bites, and you're not it's hard for me to trophy hunt. You guys have a mindset that is fantastic. You could, I know Brandon could go out and fish a giant swim bait for a largemouth bass for 10 trips in a row, only fishing for the 11th trip where the one bite would happen. That's not an easy like headspace to get in. And the 8-inch weedless I thought was such a cool thing because there was nothing like it before. You could put it anywhere you wanted. You were still fishing for a giant one, but you also got to enjoy the action of medium-sized fish being able to eat it too.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with that, Rick, coming out with that the weedless like that was it was easy to fish.
Crazy.
Anybody could put the screw lock into the bait. There was a belly slit. Put the hook in.
But it's more than that. The first time you ever took me calico bass fishing and you showed me the technique of fishing that bait, it completely flipped everything I thought I knew about calico bass fishing on its head. Like
totally,
it was so different and revolutionary, and it was drawing fish from such a distance. I've never presented a lure, I guess, for calico bass that drew the way that
the attention.
It didn't grab that much attention. You'd have your weedless bait would have clouds of bass to your rod tip and would get bass that would otherwise be totally inactive, fired up,
But I've fished freshwater with you many times.
Yeah.
It's the same scenario.
Totally. But I didn't know that applied to calico fishing until you showed it to me.
Yeah. I mean,
I grew up, it was light line. 12 pound, it was 10 pound, and small lead head and a small swim bait, or it was fly line and anchovy, or it was fishing a surface iron. The concept of what you brought to all of us was just different.
But going back to the show with Danny Wade, sitting right there, and I grew up 13, 14 years old working on the bait barge, and I was fortunate enough, Danny Wade on the Fisherman 3 or the Daily Double, but more predominantly usually the Fisherman 3, Tim Green running it. I was young enough, but I was so stoked I was able to hop on the half day boat as they were picking up bait.
Okay.
I'd work all morning from 5 a.m. until that 1 o'clock time when they would come out. I was able to jump on the boat and go half day fishing every single day.
How cool is that?
I lived the life, I'm telling you. And not knowing that Danny Wade, the man, was like right there.
Sure. You didn't know you were fishing with the greatest of all time, potentially. And,
I grew up doing that. Yeah.
So
so all of that, Rick, has really led to the innovations that people get to enjoy. I mean, it started like that, and it just progresses. It's something I love doing.
I, like a lot of fishermen like myself, are very appreciative of the things that you've innovated and come up with, and it's really totally changed the way I want to go calico bass fishing.
There's more coming, man.
I like the sound of that.
I got it in my head, and that's where it starts.
I'm not scared. Bring it on.
Well, as you can hear, we've got an awesome show today. It's just so much fun to get to hang out with you and have a lot of fun. And it's a real joy for me to get to hang out with these two also and talk fishing. And I think we're going to have a really fun show today, Cory.
I feel the same way, and I'm sure Brandon does too.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah, and just getting to share the time with you out there. And if you want to join us, a couple ways to do it. As always, on the phone, 213-432-1090 is the telephone number. Give us a shout there. Or you can text us via the app. You send us a text. Between Rick and I, we're getting them, and I'll share the phone with Brandon. We can read them and have a great time. And if you're watching us on YouTube Live, or what is it, Facebook Live, I don't know, you'll have to help me out, Rick, but you can join us that way too. So we're giving away, talking about the San Diego, Nabrala, we're giving away a full day trip on the San Diego out of C4 Sport Fishing, a really cool thing. Going to one lucky texter or caller. We'll flip the coin right here. You can see it if you're watching, or you can hear it. And we'll do that at the end of the show. And again, we'll be right back. We're going to go to break and be right back on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Hello, this is Captain Mike Totter from Surge of Sport Fishing. Alongside my colleague, Chef Josh Evans, and our dedicated team, we invite you to join us aboard the Searcher. Our fishing trips range from a day and a half to 8 days, available May through November, and include charter options. We're committed to upholding a legacy of top-notch customer service, delicious food, and a friendly and talented crew. Book your fishing adventure online at searchofsportfishing.com or call Rachel at 619-226-2403. That's searchofsportfishing.com.
rolling along
status quo, all good. Fortunately, as you can see, those people that are still joining us, the camera's back up and running now. But, as we were kind of nearing going to break, and I'm just loving talking lures and talking surface iron fishing and talking swim baits, camera goes down. And it's just like it knows when I'm on this side of the table that it likes to give us some hiccups. But anyways, she's back up and rolling now.
So when that camera isn't on, is it the audio?
Everything's still on. Yeah, audio's still good. And there's other cameras and all kinds of other things, but it's just it likes to just throw a little wrench at us every now and again.
Little wrinkles.
Yeah.
We can deal with it.
Yeah, we can deal with that just fine.
Yeah. Hey, we're giving away a full day trip on the San Diego today. Out of Seaforth. And if you want to join us, give us a call. Is there? Oh, we have one open line. How about that?
Not a lot of opportunity
right,
to get through,
exactly.
But we're going to do it, man. We got 2 hours coming for you.
But 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app. Ton of texts coming through.
Yeah,
too.
totally.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to start it off with a text this morning, and I thought it was a great one from John in Rancho San Diego. And it says, man, how fun to hear from all three of you guys together. Rick, Cory, Brandon, a couple of fishy dudes to say the least. Hey, my question, with Rancho Leonero no longer taking guests, what is a place in Baja that you guys would recommend for some old school Baja style fishing? I know it's impossible to replace the ranch, but I'm looking for a similar experience. What do you guys got? And I know that Mexico is very important to both of you guys and have done quite a bit of it. Any recommendations for somebody looking to slide a new Baja destination into their mix? My
Baja travels are somewhat limited. I've only gone to places like LA Bay and Cedros, and I've been fortunate enough for the last several years go back to LA Bay several times, but because of the limitation of the trips that I've gone on, all I know is the spectacular fishery that is Bahia de Los Angeles. It's insane and incredible, and I know there's other more exotic places or lesser known places to go to that would have equal, if not better fishing. But I've not been as fortunate as you have, Cory, to drive down there and check out multiple locations.
I've done quite a bit through Baja, but LA Bay, the fishing with the cabrilla and the yellowtail, right? That's incredible. And that's really what you're after.
Yeah.
A safe area, an area where you can enjoy with other people, but still kind of remote, right?
Yeah.
And have awesome fishing. What else would you be looking for?
And it's kind of old Baja, it's a sleepy little fishing town. Kind of the vast majority, certainly, of tourists that are there for this one specific thing of sport fishing. And on a Saturday, it's incredible the amount of pongas that leave that that launch ramp, but they all come back to the dock smiling from ear to ear, having smashed them.
I don't know. I think we're fortunate that Cedros is so easily accessible. Like everything's taken care of.
I think that the question's impossible to answer because there was only one Rancho Leonero, and Rancho offered a lot of things. The fishing was great there. There's no question, but the fishing wasn't the only reason you went to the ranch, and it had a couple of things going for it, and it was really good fishing, including some things that people hold in real high regard, trophies, wahoos and marlin and tuna and things like that. But the other thing is it was very comfortable. The food was really good, and it was really easy to get to. And those three things are not easy to combine in Baja. A lot of the best fishing requires a little bit of work on your end to get there, or it requires dealing with slightly more rustic accommodations, or it's, or you can have really easy to get to and really good accommodations, but sometimes the fishing isn't as good. I would throw one more in the mix, just that Bahia de Los Angeles, the fishing is spectacular. It is spectacular, and it's the type of fishing that I know the three of us really like to do. Chucking and winding a lure and have something that pulls really hard, bite it, usually in spectacular fashion. You lose a high percentage of them. You get a high percentage of them. You're fired up and you're yelling back and forth. That's my favorite fishing in the world. Yeah. But another spot, though, that offers the same kind of old school Baja, but you can still fly right into is Loreto.
Oh yeah.
And I think Loreto is a vibe that's similar to the ranch. It's still old school. You can
small town.
Yeah, it's still got that old. It's very easy to navigate through the town. There's great food. There's cool history. You can take your significant other there if you want to go on a fun trip with your gal she's not dedicated to fishing. She likes it, but also wants to do some other things. Like Loreto offers a lot of that cool stuff, and you can still jump on from a ponga all the way up to find a bitchin' cruiser or a nice big boat. So I might throw that in your mix. Nothing will replace the ranch. It won't.
Yeah.
And if you love being down there, go to Palmas. You know, I mean, there's still fantastic opportunities to fish in, you know, in Los Brillas and you know, and get on that. But the ranch just had so many of those things that we all like wrapped up into that same little ball.
I don't know if Brandon heard about the Palmas pickleball.
Oh, they have a court down there
on their
like world record.
Yeah, like
class.
That's they're putting significant money into like making that a world destination for it.
Wow.
You know,
I may have to make a trip just to own some souls.
Yeah,
down there, you know?
I mean, like
I'll fish one day, I'll pickleball all the
it's
rest.
a real big deal.
All
I mean,
right.
they're putting some serious into it, like world class courts, and you know, they're making it a destination. Like, and why not? Like, if you live in a part of the world where half of the year it's white and frozen and cold and the wind blows, and you can hop on a plane and just live in luxury and pickleball your ass off. I mean, that's just
wow.
It's got Brandon's name written all over it.
I'm into it. I do all the above. Yep.
Well, I hope that helps, John, and I wish you the best wherever you go. It's going to be a lot of fun. Cory, why don't we jump into the phones?
Man, they are full. How about John? John calling from Escondido. Good morning, John.
What's up, John?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure to hear all three of your voices and everything. And so my question's for Cory. And last year I was getting on the airplane as you were getting off the airplane in Queen Charlotte. And I took slugs and things like that to fish with. But you brought some of your own reels and everything. And like I watched Harold Davis, he brought, I want to say they look like, 10-inch swim bait, sardine color. So what baits did you bring, and what reels did you bring, and what type of line on those reels did you fish with? Because I've been going back there with Harold's group this year, right after you.
Yeah, John, Queen Charlotte is just one of those beautiful destinations. I mean, it's the lingcod fishing, the salmon. I never knew I'd be into the quote unquote like Alaska style trip.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
eating the fish, the lingcod and the salmon is the most amazing, like other than our yellowfin and bluefin and the fish we have locally, that it's amazing eating. I think what really was the lure for me once being with Valerie there at Queen Charlotte was it's so obtainable, but it's so remote. Like there's no cruise ships, there's nobody else. The 20 of us hanging at the lodge is the main thing happening for 5 miles either direction. Like there's nothing happening there. It's incredible. And it's just the lingcod fishing. I love fishing, period, as you know, but the lingcod, dude, like an average of 20 pound fish.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like ridiculous.
Yeah.
8-inch slug is what I brought.
Okay.
And I brought a couple seekers that I had, some old slug 659s and I think a 709, a few of them that I left there.
Okay.
With the guide.
That's awesome.
And I brought the number one was the Tranks 500.
Okay.
Oh, really? You went to a 500 to do
Dude,
this?
I told you I put on my big boy pants.
Yeah. Wow. For those who don't know, that might as well be a 50 wide for Cory Sanden. Like
totally.
That's a wicked tuna style basketball of a reel for Cory Sanden.
Well, and so you can bring your, they have gear that's adequate and will totally work. But if you bring your own reel, they'll let you put it on there, on their one of the rods.
What a fun thing to, I mean, again, I always talk about your, the Cory Sanden, your brand of how you like to do it. Like, what a cool thing to get to share with the guides. Those guides are masters, as you saw, at catching big lingcod, and you can catch them in a variety of ways. But how cool to get to do it with downsized gear, the way you feel the bite, the way those things attack that slug, the rod and reel style, just it's a SoCal style that you brought and shared with those boys. And I
guess so.
And when Valerie was on, and we heard we heard the crew talking about how much they loved fishing that, and they even joked like, "Hey Valerie, while you're down there, bring some more of those slugs back up here." Like,
well,
it was well received.
I'm getting fired up thinking about it because it's a style that is unlike what you think for lingcod. Like they put their jigs down, their 16-ounce jigs, and and they tickle it with a swim bait or something, and they put it on the bottom and they kind of just work it right there in the first 3 feet of the bottom.
Yeah.
Dude, I put that 8-inch slug down there. I speed wound it through the water column up 50 feet.
This is the most Cory Sanden thing I've ever heard. Oh my God.
And then started jigging it right there. and if you didn't get a bite, I'd drop it back down 10 feet. And it was an instant, like,
wow. I remember when you first went and how fired up you were. And like, I guess I never put 2 and 2 together that you would really dig something like that. I figured you would, due to the nature aspect and the beauty, and you
right.
And you're so into the nature anywhere you go and anything you do. But when you came back and explained this thing you were doing with the slugs and the specialty way you were rigging them, it kind of made sense to me that it suited the Cory Sanden style of fishing.
And the harvest, that's a big deal. That's a big deal for you. And like, what's better than coming back from Queen Charlotte Safari with boxes full of the type of thing you can't go get. Like regardless of the amount of money that's jingling in your pocket, you cannot go reproduce that.
And I'm sure John knows, and those I've shared with, like Brian Kihara was going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, are you bringing back fish? And he goes, yeah, oh man, I can't wait. The salmon. He's like, I'm so into it. What about the lingcod? Man, we get enough of that local. I'm like, Brian, listen to me.
It's not the same.
It is a completely different fish. And I had to talk him into bringing it back because the Alaskan thing is the very same thing.
Yeah.
It's so fatty. It's a true cod.
And those things are eating well up there.
Oh my God.
They're not going hungry.
No, that the herring coming out.
It's so impressive up there. Let's call it that region of the world. For those listeners that have not been up there. What a 5-inch MC swim bait on a 2-ounce lead head can do to that fishery up there. I've been fortunate enough to go in the last handful of years twice with Rick to Kingfisher Lodge at a Sitka, and the work we put in with a 5-inch MC and a 2-ounce lead head, it's every cast, and sometimes a lot of times you're catching 2 at a time because one's a lingcod is hitchhiking, the other lingcod that you're trying to wind in.
And I think correct me, the Alaskan limits are like you're allowed 1 or 2 or.
It just depends on it has a lot to do with season and commercial fishing. The limits in terms of harvest bringing home are a lot more liberal at Queen Charlotte Safari.
Yeah.
In terms of lingcod, rockfish, it just varies on
pretty strict
on whether it be a pelagic rockfish or a shelf rockfish and times. Regardless, I always say the same thing. The limits are so much lesser than what they were when we started going there. That said, I still come back with a box of I can't come.
Yeah.
I have to work really hard to get through most of it, but for in a year, and it's our favorite thing to eat. We don't freeze a lot of tuna at home. We freeze all of that fish from Alaska because it keeps so well. And we eat a lot of fish at my house, share with my mom and sister, and they say, oh, you can't keep as much, but I can't go through it all.
That's true.
So much.
It's almost a problem for me. Coming back with 3 50-pound boxes through multiple airports from Alaska to San Diego. I'm calling and begging Cory Sanden, please come to my house and take 100 pounds of this off of me because I have nowhere to put it.
So there's no begging needed.
Well, we appreciate the phone call, Joe. We had a great text come through. Good morning, boys. Question for you all. I'm looking for a rod to match up to my 9-year-old grandson and his Torium 16. We fish everything from the new Seaforth half day to Liberty full day trips. Appreciate the input. That's from Mark in La Quinta. Mark, first off, great pick for a reel for your 9-year-old grandson. Brandon, looking for something that's clearly going to be an all-around half day local rod. What are you thinking for a Torium 16 for a grandson?
Obviously, that's somewhat tough just because we have so many options at Fisherman's Landing Tackle Shop. But if one of the first rods that comes to mind that would be maybe suitable for a 9-year-old, Phoenix makes a great amount of affordable rods in that line class range that you would fish a Torium 16 on. And the first one that pops into my mind would be a Phoenix Axis 720 medium heavy. And that particular rod comes with very nice, kind of somewhat larger, texturized Hypalon grips. And for a 9-year-old, maybe with not the world's largest hands, it'd be something easy for them to hold on to. It would pair with the Tory M16 perfectly. It would fish all the line sizes you would ever fish on a half day or a 3/4 day trip. And with a higher end product like a Phoenix rod, you get a lifetime warranty, which is great for a 9-year-old. They're going to get a lot of time to put that rod through its paces.
A good pick in that thing is perfectly suited for having a 2 or 3 ounce torpedo sinker and a strip of squid to catch a rockfish, but also a fly line, 25 pound, and catch a yellowtail to Coronado Islands. Like a good all around, do everything. Because, clearly, Mark, if that's your grandson and you love to fish the way that you do, like eventually that boy is going to have a lineup of his surface iron rods and his swim bait rods and all those things. But what a good base of a rod that you could kind of do a little bit of something from. Pick a 7 to 8 foot rod with a fairly soft tip section, but still enough backbone to catch a yellowtail. And what a great pick. I'll also maybe think about that rod that we gave away yesterday, that Terramar 8 foot medium heavy. Same deal. Not spending a tremendous amount of money, and get something that's durable. Like get something with some relatively beefy guides that he can beat up, and or like Brandon's saying, find something that does have a good warranty. Things are going to happen. He's going to hopefully have that rod for a lifetime. Like, some things are going to happen. Let's maybe pick a rod that's got some glass in it that's going to take some abuse, and if there is a problem, let's find something that'll fix her up.
Who has the best warranties for that? I mean,
it's funny that you say that, and I'll answer that. I'll answer that question better for you in the next couple of months. Like one of my goals for this winter time is there's been plenty of changing house in the fishing tackle, the inside baseball. There's been several companies that have been bought and purchased by larger companies. It's a thing that happens, but with that, their corporate return policies change. This rod company always did it this way. Well, now they're under the umbrella of that one. Your most well-known, your CalStars and Seekers, a lot of that warranty has changed to an in-house thing. If you want to know the truth, you can't break a CalStar or a Seeker. Their warranties have always been the same. They warranty against manufacturer's defect. They don't put out a rod that has that defect. Totally. If on the rare opportunity that they do, of course they replace it for you no charge. I've been around high quality rods. I'd put United Composites in that same world. If you're pulling on one the way that you're quote unquote supposed to, the rod tips down, you're pulling back, you cannot physically break one. You can't. It does not happen. Now, life happens. You might slam that thing against the truck just right. It hits the tailgate wrong. It didn't break then, but the break maybe started, and then months away, you chip away, and that little crack became a little bit deeper, and then it got thrown in the tailgate just wrong again, and it ended up in this wedge, and eventually through its life, it weakens down, and then it breaks. Well, that's not a manufacturer's defect.
And they can tell.
They can. Yeah. Most of them that garner that real high price, they still oftentimes honor it because of the sake of doing good business, but it's not a manufacturer's defect. Now, other rods that are maybe the opposite of that, still, this has nothing to do with quality. They're still high end, but maybe they're made in a little bit more of a mass production style where the cost of building that rod is a lot lesser. They'll oftentimes build in the cost of knowing these rods are maybe prone to having issues slightly more often. So they kind of like add into their initial cost, knowing on the back end, we might need to replace this 1 or 2 times. And we want to give that customer a very high end, like satisfaction or replacement. So some of them will offer a replacement cost where regardless of how it happens, for X amount of dollars, basically covering their cost, we'll give you another one. And all of the rod manufacturers have slight variations of that. One of my goals just for our guys in the shop this winter is to talk with every rod manufacturer again specifically and just get an updated policy. But basically it's a long-winded way of saying they're all a little bit different. Some of them are bring it in and the shop of your choice can replace it, no questions asked. A lot of them are going to we want to see it in our hands, and then we'll decide how to let the manufacturer handle it. And all variations in between. So it's a muddy way of saying that it's all a little bit different. But one thing remains the same. If you tend to go with a slightly higher brand that's got a better reputation, the replacement of which tends to be a little bit easier as you go down the line.
I like that idea right there. Stay local.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, we're going to be right back. Talk about staying local. We're going to stay local right here while we go to break. We're going to be right back on the Let's Talk Hookup app and that Sports Grid Radio Network.
Gamakatsu is not just all about hooks. There's so much more, including the new Gamakatsu.
You have a Shimano live read right after this.
Okay, bro. Thank you.
Tools are also very special, including the Gamakatsu braid scissors made with ceramic blades, so they'll never rust. Check out the new lineup of shirts and hats, and of course, Gamakatsu fishing pliers and boxes are amazing. Gamakatsu, much more than just the best hooks. Get them at your local tackle shop or at gamakatsu.com.
All right, it's time to talk about great gear from Shimano, and man, I don't think we could not talk about it. We were talking about it at Queen Charlotte Safaris and the versatility of the line. How do you talk about a better reel design than the Tranks series from Shimano in terms of just covering the type of fishing that you want to do? Like, how often is there a lineup of reels where on the small end it's arguably the perfect reel for catching spotties and largemouth, and at the high end the large end it's the perfect reel for catching a popper bluefin or a giant lingcod on the bottom, and then everything in between?
You're hitting it on the head.
90% of the fishing I do, I could do with a Tranks series of reels. I think they're the best on the market. They're so incredible what a small level-winded platformed reel can do, power-wise.
It's like the culmination of 40 or 50 years of building reels in that style. They kind of nailed it. It's got power, it's got smooth, it's got drags, it's got ridiculous longevity. I mean, how often have you changed the drags in your Tranks 400?
Never.
And how many bluefin have you caught on the popper at fly line live bait with it?
A stupid amount. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, that's a bass reel.
Yeah.
That we rely on fishing a 2-fish jigs mini and catching a 40-pound bluefin back to back to back to back to back, and then don't think twice about it when you tie a weedless on and go to Cedros.
100%. The Tranks has changed the game for it all. Their gearing, the power, everything involved.
Yeah, it's pretty cool reels. For more information, check out your local Shimano dealer or just check out fishshimano.com. It's time for the Power Pro 30-second seminar. I like catching big fish, and I like smaller reels too. How do I make sure that I have the capacity to land the big one? I fill my reels with Power Pro Max Quattro. It's 25% thinner than standard Power Pro, so you get more line on that small reel. Power Pro has a complete series of highly effective lines, including the brand new Power Pro Depth Hunter Offshore with different colors every 100 feet. Perfect for flatfall fishing. Want to learn more? Check powerpro.com.
For your next fishing adventure, check Point Loma Sport Fishing. They offer half-day and full-day trips daily, perfect for families and the novice or seasoned fishermen. Point Loma Sport Fishing also offers overnight to multi-day trips, targeting the best of seasonal catches. Visit PointLomaSportFishing.com, where you can purchase tickets online and get more information on the trips available, or call 619-223-1627. Want to go fishing? Point Loma Sport Fishing has you covered.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and I should have let Brando take over, man. I'm sorry I kind of took it over, but it's nice to be on air with Brandon and with Rick and myself, the three of us having fun and no open lines, but you want to join us when one opens, 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app. We're giving away a full-day trip on the San Diego.
Cory and I always joke that every time we do the show together, at least once I step on him in bringing the show back, like, the co-host spot, we bring the show back on the air, and I just get so used to it. I always step on him at least one time. Having both of you guys in here, I'm screwed. Like, I got zero chance of getting through this without stepping on somebody at some point. But it's all fun, and boy, a great time. Like Cory said, been a very busy morning already. 213-432-1090 is how you reach on the phones. 100% full right now. Or keep those texts rolling. Really good texts already this morning, getting us on that Let's Talk Hookup app. And man, Cory, time to find out what's biting out there.
Let's do it. It's that time, and it's brought to us by Summit Gasoline at the San Diego Sports Arena. Place to fill up your car, truck, and boat with the lowest gas and diesel prices. And did you know that Summit also has a place to get the lowest prices on ice and snacks and everything else involved? 25 cents, Brandon, for your first 5 pounds of ice.
Wow.
25 cents. Seriously.
I can confirm that, Cory.
Yeah.
Like, I went the other day. We had the Whalen birthday party.
Yeah.
I needed fuel and slid into Summit. It really is. It's no BS. You get a bag of ice for 25 cents.
What a clever deal.
I see them walking out constantly. $3.99. $3.99 for 25 pounds.
Okay.
But if you purchase 35 gallons of fuel, which sometimes I've done it between the boat and the truck.
Totally.
2 separate receipts. I bring it in. They give you 100 pounds of free ice.
Really?
Seriously.
And I mean, the one you said before, $3.99 for 25 pounds. Most places are 20 pounds, not 25. And all of those places are not $3.99 for that. It's the deal, man.
And on top of that, Kirkland Products, lowered than the company that makes them, and dozens of great snacks for just 89 cents and more. It's all at Summit Gasoline right there at the San Diego Sports Arena.
It's time to find out what's going on the water. We got the man, Captain Brian Woolley, is standing by this morning. What's up, Woolley?
Hey, good morning, guys. Good stuff in there this morning, man. I like that model of the show. It's fun.
Having fun, buddy, for sure.
Hey, mellow week for us up here. Our water temps this week, 56 to 58 degrees, depending on, if we saw the sun or if we were locked in the fog during the week. But still, the light line approaches have been the most productive for our guys on the half-day trips lately, targeting the bass, sheephead, whitefish, and stuff. We have a real nice anchovy for our live bait, so that lighter line certainly hasn't been an issue with that stuff. Light sliding egg sinkers, guys, super finesse style fishing for getting the bass to bite. Water's been a little off. Again, it's cold, so scaling down that line, 8 to 12 pound line works really well for those guys fishing like those Carolina rigs with that live bait. And then the dropper loops, guys obviously scaled their line up a little bit, 12 to 15 pound line, targeting the sheephead with the shrimp and that kind of stuff. So definitely getting bites. It's just your approach is, you have to kind of match the conditions for sure. 3/4 day rockfish action was great this week. We had perfect conditions out there on the 14-mile bank, like hardly any breeze, just the right amount of current. So it opened up some more opportunities for us too out there. We were fishing like 120 to 140 fathom out there. That's like over 700 to 800 feet of water. Very good fishing on that deep water rockfish right now. We didn't have to fish more than a 16-ounce sinker out there in that deeper water, which was really, really good. And you can imagine that same anchovy. It's like there's not a rockfish in the world that won't eat an anchovy. So that bait really helped us out too. And then I know I sound like a broken record talking about the slow pitch approach for these rockfish, but man, it's been super effective, and it allows the anglers to really scale their tackle down. Smaller reels, lighter braid, lighter rods. That fatigue isn't there at the end of the day. The guys fishing that 250 gram to 400 gram jigs really made easy work of their rock cod limit. Super clean presentation, and it's just been really productive for the guys fishing out there. So that's a great alternative. I know holidays are coming. You guys can put that on your Christmas list for sure. Would be a great addition to your arsenal if you don't have that for targeting rockfish.
It's a great.
So it looks like
that's a great point too, Willie. And with the same thing like we were talking about before, the rockfish limits aren't the same, and that like you're no longer like gunning for a gunny sack full of fish, and with a couple of reds, like that's such a good way to pluck off a couple of big ones, a couple of bigger. You're now having way more fun doing it. The tackle is scaled back, and it's a great way to target the elite class of fish when you're doing it.
Totally. I mean, it's no different than on a half day trip. There's the guys that like to fly land their live bait, but then there's a guy that likes to throw the rubber lure. It's just an alternative that's really just as effective as fishing a live bait. So it's been good to see the guys doing that for sure. And then this week looks like there might be a couple days of some wind. So if you're going to come out with us, check the weather reports and make your reservations accordingly. But we plan to be out there as much as we can, weather permitting, this week. So give us a call here, 949-496-5794. Of course, you can hit us on the web at danawharf.com.
Right on, man. A great report as always, Woolley. Appreciate that very much, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Thanks. See ya.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, Willie.
We've actually got the surf guru on the line, Gundy himself.
Corey's favorite part of the show, man.
It truly is.
Favorite report, Gundy.
Well, I actually have some cool news to deliver, considering it's December. Water temperatures have cooled, obviously. We're around 60 degrees, maybe a little cooler up north. But the weather's been pretty fair, and we really haven't had any big rain events that have blasted things out. So conditions aren't that bad. The guys, this week, 2 bright spots. The barred perch bite up north, Ventura, Oxnard, Santa Barbara. They're seeing more quality fish here. Maybe a 5 to 8 inch average, but kickers to 12 inch. I got some photos of some really nice perch this week. Places like Gaviota, El Capitan, Galita, Carp, and Torilla, Silver Strand, Fifth Street Oxnard, all that stuff up there is starting to take shape. Just about anything working. Grub's working well because of the clean water, but also gulp, lugworms, mussel, natural baits like that. The second stuff, and this is probably interesting to Cory, is San Diego Bay and the lagoons. Quite a few quality halibut this week. Lots of smelt around, and that's been the key. Live bait. The guys are fishing live bait, smelt. They had a 40-inch fish last week, and then this week several in the 30-inch class from 34 to 38 inches. Not a lot of bites, but the guys are just fishing that live bait. Patience, we're moving around to different spots, the shore anglers, hitting points, and just kind of working around, and you're going to get your bites if you put in your time. And then we also had an angler reported good perch fishing at Del Mar. He caught and released 25 barred perch fishing what we were talking about last week, that little Z-Man Ned rig in New Penny Shrimp. Very good fishing on the incoming tide. So, I think what we lack most is anglers, you know what I mean? It's that time of year, but conditions aren't that bad. And for the halibut specialists, there's opportunity.
I love it.
Yeah, that's great info, dude.
It is.
And like you say, we've been experiencing of some really beautiful days, like nice afternoons that are hitting the same time as good tidal times. Like, why not go put a few out? It's a great way to unwind. Holiday shopping, gnarly. Just, man, go put a couple flatties on the board. Like, we'll take that.
Count me in.
Cooler water, the lures don't work quite as well, so that's why you see these guys. You can either use an umbrella net, and get the smelt going on the bread, and then up with the umbrella net, or some guys use sabiki rigs with real tiny size 18 to 22 like golden hooks, and you really don't even need to bait them. You just get that smelt chummed up a little bit on the bread, and then you pick your pieces like that. So there's a few ways about it, and it's a very good way to fish for halibut this time of year.
Gundy, I had never thought about it until you mentioned that. We sell a very particular sabiki style rig at the shop for a completely different thing. When guys are making, we call them tube mackerels on long range trips, or, on the beach in Mexico, they call them chihuiles. Those are a very particular bait, fantastic bait to fish, but very difficult to catch on the sabiki rig. They got very small mouths, very thin, like they tear off real easy. And we sell these sabiki. They're high end. They're all fluorocarbon, which I don't know if it's necessity or not, but that's just what they are. But they have the teeniest little hooks on them. Number 14s, number 16s, and the larger mackerel, those chihuiles, they rip off of them all the time. But like, if you're fishing next to a guy that's got the standard big 1-0 squid, like you will hook 25 to his one, and 20 of your 25 will rip off, but you'll still be catching 5 to 1 over that guy because they're so good. I would bet that same thing would probably be killer for exactly what you're talking about. The teeniest little hook trying to catch surf smelt, base, jack smelt, that kind of stuff.
Gold flash, just a little gold flash is enough to attract it, and really, with the guys who specialize in the live bait fishing, the making of the bait is just as crucial as the other aspects.
It's as much talent in that as there is in catching a halibut. I'll share with you how we used to make those, Gundy. You ready?
Yep.
We'd slide up the little number 14 gold treble hook for trout.
Okay.
Slide it up the line, and you tie just a simple overhand knot with like only a half an inch. And that doubled up line with the loose treble looks like a little tiny half-inch bait fish. And we'd rig up
loose on the loop.
It's loose on the loop, but we'd rig up like 4 or 5 of those, and that's how we caught our sardine as kids.
There you go. That's good dope.
A little sinker on the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Just a 1 ounce flashy
almost
torpedo.
Like 4 or 5 mini dropper loops where that thing is just loose inside of the loop.
But that doubled up line, just that half inch of doubled up line looks like a transparent little chovy.
Like it.
Yeah. Watch out.
And we think in traditional baits like anchovy, sardines, smelt, But there's all kinds of other stuff that works, like, a barred perch, shiner perch, goggle eye, 7-Eleven. All those little junk perches will take a halibut just like that.
Man, you're giving it all up, Gundy. Love it.
I like it, Gundy.
All right.
All right, gentlemen, have a good week. Happy holidays.
Great report, buddy. Talk to you next week, Gundy.
Hey, there's nothing more important surf fishing, Rick, and Brandon, than knowing the tides.
Sure.
And the new Bill Varney CCA calendar's out, man.
Oh, it's great.
Right? I mean, you can get it in the tackle. You guys have it at the Fisherman's Landing?
Yeah, for sure.
Get it there.
It's holiday gift time. That's the one. It's
I know
cheap.
it.
Every fisherman's stoked on it. It's the best tide chart, like you're saying.
Everybody wants it.
Yeah, no doubt.
And in fact, they're calling right now trying to get it. Hey, get in your local tackle shop. We're going to be back right now and on Let's Talk Hookup with more great information and great fish reports and more when we return on Let's Talk Hookup app and I almost said Mighty 1090, but it's the Sports Grid Radio Network.
It may be winter in Southern California, but those of us who live here know it's a great time of year to go fishing, and certainly not time to put your gear away. This is Ben, and you will see me at my dad's shop, Dana Landing in Mission Bay, the one-stop shop for a great day on the water. Food, bait, tackle, beverages, and more. This is the ideal time for bay bass fishing, and I get the inside scoop from Johnny. Heck, he will even rent you one of our killer blue skiffs. This is also a good time to go work on your reels, and Doug is the man for that job. If big largemouth bass are your bag, nothing beats East County Bait and Tackle. They have all the right stuff and live bait for a perfect day on the lake. Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle is super cool too, for both freshwater and saltwater tackle. ECBT is at the end of the 67 freeway on Mapleview and Lakeside. Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle is on Broadway in Lemon Grove, and Dana Landing is next to the Dana Launch Ramp in Mission Bay. Check danalanding.com for more details.
Sports Grid Radio Network is the premier audio streaming channel dedicated to serving the massive sports wagering and fantasy audience. Found on the Sports Grid app and SiriusXM. Sports Grid's real-time data transforms viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Get the best in-game live coverage during all the games, as well as the most in-depth pre-game previews from hosts like Scott Farrell, Donnie Rightside, Ben Stevens, Gabe Morency, and many more. To find out where you can listen to Sports Grid, go to sportsgridradio.com. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
It's time for the Power Pro 30-second seminar. I like catching big fish, and I like smaller reels, too. How do I make sure that I have the capacity to land the big one? I fill my reels with Power Pro Max Quattro. It's 25% thinner than standard Power Pro, so you get more line on that small reel. Power Pro has a complete series of highly effective lines, including the brand new Power Pro Depth Hunter Offshore, with different colors every 100 feet. Perfect for flatfall fishing. Want to learn more? Check powerpro.com.
Seasoned long-range fishermen know that the Red Rooster 3 is the finest fishing vessels in terms of technology, design, speed, comfort, and safety. This 105-foot sport fishing yacht meets every demand for comfort while delivering an unforgettable fishing vacation. Captain Andy Cates and crew are experienced, friendly, and sincere in their desire to help you have the trip of a lifetime. Book a trip on the Red Rooster 3, and you'll be back. Trips go fast, so check redrooster3.com or call Lee Palm Sport Fisheries at 619-224-3857.
And now it's time for more of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's Talk Hookup. This portion of the show is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup. Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. And by Yamaha Outboards, official motor sponsor of Let's Talk Hookup. Here we go. Another great hour of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's Talk Hookup. Here's Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Cory Sanden.
Good morning, anglers. Welcome back. Hour number 2. Let's Talk Hookup coming your way right here. Having a great time here this morning. Facebook and YouTube Live, the Let's Talk Hookup app, 1090 AM, the Sports Grid Radio Network. However you're taking it in this morning, we're having lots of fun, dishing out some fishing info and really just getting to talk fishing with a couple of great buds. It's been a really fun show. Can't believe we've already burned through an hour of it. But what a great time this has been, Cory.
I agree with you, Rick, and hanging out with you and Brandon, just a great time and sharing fishing stories and techniques and just having a great time. And you want to join us, the lines are full right now, but 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app. You got a question or whatever, make sure you do leave your name, telephone number, because at the end of the show, we're giving away a full day trip on the San Diego.
What a great prize that is!
Or you can go on the 3/4 day trip right now they're having. I'm sure they would accept that, and you can catch a local yellow.
Anytime you get the pleasure of fishing with Captain White Lightning, I would jump on that opportunity.
Is that his nickname?
Yeah, that is his nickname.
Matt?
One of many nicknames. That he has.
White Lightning.
White Lightning.
So you guys fished a ton together your whole lives. You are now part of a jig company together. He's a tremendous jig fisherman. If you has a lure risen to a favorite amongst you and or Brala? Are they the same? Are they different? I mean, we all know that there's different lures for different times and all those things, but do you have a lure that you guys make that you're the most proud of, or like, well, this is probably the one that I find myself tying on the most often?
That's a super difficult question because each individual one, has its time and place, but definitely I am leaning towards the direction. I really dig the largest version offering that we do offer, which is the Giga, which would be the equivalent of your maybe Salas 7X or Candy Bar or Starman 112 size jig, but it's a little bit
Starman 112. Did I hear that?
Yeah.
Candy Bar, man.
Yeah. It's a little bit larger. It's a little bit denser jig, and it's a jig that kind of everybody, regardless of I suppose skill level or ability to cast far, can cast a good enough distance to get a bite from a yellowtail. And they all seem to swim maybe slightly better than maybe any other lure we have on the wall at Fisherman's Landing Tackle Shop. I think they're just a notch above kind of everything else. And there's a time and place for a 240, a 270, a 300, but the mini, as you have experienced, like it's odd that there are opportunities to fish this tiny jig where nothing else will get a bite, but this one tiny surface iron, if fished on the appropriate gear, will get a bite when surface iron kind of wasn't an option.
I like that it's tiny, but it's not ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it's not tiny, it's small. And there's a difference there because I've seen a lot of things that I'll joke with some of our guys, make them. There's a lot of things that belong as keychains and they should remain that way. This is a surface iron, but it's a small one. Like when they're on small bait, it's castable, it's fishable. You can fish it on full size tackle. I like that lure a lot.
You know what I'm smelling with that one?
What?
Salto.
Oh, yeah. I could see a scenario where if especially at El Salto, you could get bites on it for sure.
All right, well, keep that energy. So we got a text that's coming that's gonna require that attention. But first, we're gonna deal with these jam-packed phone calls because that's exactly what they are. Lines are absolutely plugged. Let's jump into it, Cory.
Let's do it. How about Hills? Hills calling from Ventura. Good morning, Hills.
What's up, Hills? Oh, bummer if we lost Hills there.
Did we?
Well, why don't we try to grab one more?
How about Dana? Dana calling from Ocean Beach. Good morning, Dana.
Well, phones might be dealing with there, so we'll see if we can get with JP and get that figured out. But in the meantime, I guess it is time to read this text.
Yeah.
Now, I know that this one is not going to be a fast answer, and I know both of you quite well, so it's going to be very difficult for you to answer this, but you're going to have to do your best. So good morning, boys. What a great time it was talking calico bass yesterday. I loved the info that Benny gave, and because of which I went right into Fisherman's and I bought 6 of the 2-fish surface iron jigs. My question is I'm going to Lake Picacho in March. What are 4 or 5 of the most important outfits to bring? I know how difficult that is to bring. I've got 15 rods and reels with Metaniums and Zodius rods. But what are the 4 or 5 that are the most important for a trip to Picacho?
Let's clear the air first.
Yeah.
I'm very simple.
Yeah.
Brandon is
He's very not.
Yeah, I'm very complicated.
The very most technical, like,
yeah.
If I bring 5 rods, he's got 15.
Yeah.
There's 20 between us.
Yeah, I am a weirdo in my love for fishing tackle, more specifically bass fishing tackle, and I get so specific with every rod, every reel, every line choice, and to narrow it down to 5, I certainly could.
But you can at least appreciate that texter's question.
Yeah.
He didn't say what's the one. Well, the one doesn't exist.
Yeah, does not.
That doesn't exist.
Well, to Cory Sanden, it does.
Yeah.
Well, but Picacho's a little more dynamic, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think. But what would be your number one there?
My number one rod and reel choice, I guess not to get
technique.
Yeah, not to get into specific manufacturers. I would say, let's call it a 7'3" medium heavy rod. I think a 7'3" medium heavy rod with a 150 size reel with, let's call it 30 to 40 pound braid, I think that one rod and reel would be the alpha most important rod and reel that I would bring. And
for what technique?
Well, on that particular setup, you could fish a topwater bait, which is super important for picachos.
Yeah.
You could, and when I say that, I mean a treble hooked topwater bait. You could fish a jerk bait. You could fish a fluke. You could fish one of the best lures that is available down there, which is MC swim bait. The 4-inch weedless MC
fun.
swim bait at
did.
Picachos is
fun.
lights out. But also with that same rig, you could fish a weightless presentation like a Senko or an Ica, or you could fish a bottom contact presentation like a lizard or a 10-inch worm. All of those are important. But for me and for you and for those that have been down to Picachos, it is bass fishing Disneyland, and you can more often than not, you can catch them how you want to catch them. So I would say whatever your favorite techniques are, those 5 rods should fall in that category. And come prepared with lots of whatever you like to catch them on, because you're going to go through them.
You will, and for me, I think if you've got difficulty catching them the way you want to, you're definitely going to get them on a shallow crank.
Oh yeah,
like no matter what. Like, and if you have your best day ever, like I know Taro's got a video where he's catching them this way and then flipping behind his back and winding them in from behind his back. Shallow crank is going to get them. Like you get on a school. Brandon and I together.
What was that big number? I know you guys, and I will say this too. Brandon is fantastic. He's such a great partner on the lake. Like he knows exactly what he caught. Brings the clicker, clicks every one. He knows exactly how many fish he took the hooks at. We don't get back to the lodge and be like, how many did you guys get? Like, oh, we easily had 70. Like, how about you guys? Like, we had 42.
Yeah.
We had 42 fish for the morning. That is what we had. We didn't estimate. He knew every one.
We had 3.5 days of fishing.
Yeah.
Brandon's clicker. Yeah. We had to get over the hump.
Yeah.
We had 1,001.
Yeah, we were at 997 on our last half day, but our best day at Picachos, we had 338. I'll never forget it. It was
two guys.
That's two guys. We just counted our fish, but also our Ponga captain, our driver. He was also fishing, and you could have added his numbers. I did not. I only clicked me and Cory's fish, and we had 338. It was the single best numbers day of bass fishing I've ever had in my life.
You start breaking down like the numbers of that, and it seems impossible.
Yeah.
You start thinking about how many hours are in the day and how many casts it takes to catch 338 fish. Like, it doesn't seem possible, but Picachos is a place where you do things that don't seem possible.
That day we spent more time taking bass off of our lures than we did anything else.
You're probably right. Yeah. There was probably more time with the lure in the boat than there was out of the boat.
Yeah. Crazy. That's cool. Well, I hope that answers your question. And fun show yesterday. And hope those 2 fish jigs swim for you. I'm glad you snatched a couple up after the show.
They will.
I know.
They will.
Well, why don't we jump back into the phones? And I'm with you, Cory. I see a 2-fish mini catching a fish in a Mexico Bass Lake at some point this year.
Sure, dude.
Picachos for sure. Yeah.
El Salto for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, throw that thing out in 25 feet of water and wind it through the water column.
Yeah.
The one thing,
I'm already tight, man. I can feel the bite.
And they stay in the water so good.
Yeah.
Your lures do. They just do. They stay in the water very good. That's a gripe that I have with some other surface irons that exist these days is you get fired up, you try to turn the handle fast and fire that bite up on one. And the next thing you know, the thing's skipping out of the water. They stay in the water good. Even the little ones stay in the water great.
Yeah, they do.
I like them.
There's nothing worse than to end your cast where you're most productive is once that surface iron comes out of the water, the gig is up.
Or how about there's one just peeling it, tracking the thing down, getting ready to do it because he's following what you're giving him. And next thing you know, the thing just starts skiing out of the water and just watching him peel off, or even worse, watching him peel off and eat the lure of the guy next to you.
Or I was gonna say pulling up on a bird school and you lay a cast right perfectly, leading them in the nose, and you take 3 turns of the handle, your jig pops out of the water and you blew it, and the 2 guys behind you both catch one.
Oh my god, dude! I don't know what that must feel like, but it's got to be horrible for that guy.
That show
standing behind you.
that show with Danny Wade and now with Brandon. I am so fired up about surface iron.
I love it.
Year.
I love it. Well, let's see if we got those phones worked out. JP's probably got us covered here.
I know it. Hills, are you there? Hills,
we got you. We got you now, Hills.
1-2 Hills.
Yeah.
Morning, buddy.
I'm here. And oh yeah. Hey, I'm so stoked. Except for I'm really bummed because I just had a fish come off, and I got my lucky craft with the owner one-out replacement hooks, and I don't know what it was. I think it was a striper. I don't know. I think, but anyways, that's fishing, and it's a really exciting part. I got a bit, Hey, this is such a great community, the Let's Talk Hookup community. I was talking to Mike from Torrance yesterday, and this is a special group of people that enjoy the radio show, and I've learned so much, and Mike concurs. But hey, are you guys going to have the Christmas Spectacular? Because I was telling Mike, you better start working on his ditty or his poem, for the Christmas Spectacular.
There was no way Let's Talk Hookup will ever not have the Christmas Spectacular for sure. So Pete will be able to give you the particulars on exactly what day we picked. It's traditionally always the Saturday before the big day. But I'll see if I can't text Pete and tell you exactly what day Christmas Spectacular is. But yeah, you better believe it. It's a tradition we're not going to get rid of. And we've been challenging and teasing one of the guys in the tackle store who claims he's gonna make a very Christmas Spectacular worthy contribution to the show. But I feel like he doesn't have the sand to pull it off. But we're gonna find out. So I've been teasing him for a minute, and he claims that he does. So we'll just leave you with that and hope that that's the case. But Hill's always good to hear from you. Always fun. For those that don't know, Hill's 90% of the time when he calls the show is in the surf, and he calls with the earbuds on, and he is surf fishing.
Right?
You can hear the surf in the background when you listen to Hill's calls.
Cool.
So when he said he just had a bite, he wasn't kidding.
Wow.
Hill's calls a lot, usually standing, ankles in the sand. That's how he gets his morning in.
Stripers,
man.
Yeah,
pretty cool. What is the deal with the stripers this year?
I want one real bad.
Well,
real bad.
It's been a building, really. It's been a handful of years. It seems like it happened after the big El Nino.
Okay.
Right? 10 years ago.
Do you think it's something that's here to stay, or is it like a freak
here.
occurrence?
It's already here. Yeah, it is here. And the thing is, there was a period like 5 years ago. There was a tremendous amount of like 14, 15, 18 inch, like up to that. Stripers
here locally.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. And there's a lot of 10 pounders now. I mean, there's a lot of like 6 to 10 pounders.
That would make my month if I got a 10-pound striper out of the surf.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it would make my dinner plate.
Cory still owns the record for having like the coolest fish in the surf. Yes, you do. Cory's got a giant striper from the surf that before it's always been cool, but before there was a spotlight on it.
Well, there's definitely much larger that have been caught, and there's 19 pounds. I mean,
you caught a 19 pounder?
Yes. From the surf.
Yeah.
You've never mentioned it?
Well,
I think it's one of the coolest fish under your belt.
Yeah.
Like, that's so rad.
And there's a funny story. There was some work being done on the house, and I got in from the bait boat, and I borrowed Mark Larson's rod from Seaforth. Like, dude, I can't go home. I'm like screwed.
You're literally just trying to kill time.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. 19 pounder.
What beach?
I'll tell you.
Can't say that. I'm sorry I asked.
No. It was Del Mar. It was Del Mar fishing for halibut.
Okay. So and cool. what was the lure?
A 5-inch swim bait.
All right.
Done.
OG original. That was before. Yeah. That was before the Viejo existed.
Yeah, it is.
And were you bombing it out there, or are you fishing?
No, it was like right there in the whitewater.
Where a halibut,
I know.
Where a halibut should
be. Yeah.
The waist to ankle deep zone.
Standing in like shin deep water, and
you are
surface
crazy, right?
But no,
a 19-pounder, not a 19-incher, a 19-pounder.
Yeah. But the reality is you can get that right now. I mean, that's the cool thing, from the border up to where he's fishing in Ventura, Oxnard, Santa Barbara area.
And when you say that, this is the first time I can ever remember in my lifetime that guys at the border are catching them like in numbers.
Yeah. So there was like 8 years ago, it was kind of a secret-y kind of, they're getting them at the power plant at Los Alamitos, or you know what I mean? Like little secret spots, but it is growing. It has bloomed in the last 5 years. It's legit.
Well, I'd love to see him get in the bay and kind of, set up in the bay.
That'd be really cool.
I have a fly rod guy that I know that gets a few.
Oh yeah,
regular. I'm just saying.
You're a ghost. I don't know. He's a ghost.
I'm just saying.
I talk to you all the time.
I know.
I never heard of a fly rod guy that's just getting stripers. Yeah,
I
Really?
know. I don't want to give up his name, but yeah. Okay. But he feeds
Give
me
up
the
his
influence.
spots. I don't care about his name either. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The phone lines are absolutely packed solid. Let's jump back in.
Oh, talking all this good stuff. How about John? John joining us from San Diego.
Hey, John.
Good morning, guys. 2 quick questions for you. I wanted to get a few more tips on fishing LA Bay, and I'm wondering if any of you have ever tried painting your lead weights, and what kind of paints would adhere to lead weights.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I've never personally painted a lead weight, but two fish jigs we do.
I was just gonna say you make one of the best.
Yeah, we do paint lead weights. And the exact, it's various specific like ingredients that go into that paint that sticks to lead, and I unfortunately don't know it. But I have seen guys spray paint their lead before.
You guys took something that was very popular, and that's the Eddie Bomb. The sinker style lure of tuna fishing. And I mean, frankly, one of the most popular lures that we sold. They sink fast. They work really good. It's a good size. But selling a sinker, to a tackle guru person like yourself wasn't good enough. So you put the two fish jig spin on it and came out with the Midnight Rider. Yeah,
and it was a great seller for Fisherman's Landing this year. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It is a sinker with eyes on it, and it blows my mind how effective all year that particular lure was. Who would ever thought?
Crazy.
It is crazy.
It's the perfect level. See, that's the thing that was made for me. I'm the same way. I can't just fish with a sinker. Yeah. I'm still if you're fishing with one, that's all you're doing. You're fishing with a sinker, but it's got a little shape to it. It's got a little face to it. It's got some pizzazz. I gotta have something more than that.
And to his question about LA Bay,
yeah. What's the deal, boys?
A lot of that depends on like what you're kind of into or what you're going down there for. For me, it could not be more about Cabiria. I want to catch leopard grouper, and that's it. I tell them when I get on the boat, the first thing, Cabiria solamente. I only want to catch Cabiria. So for me, it's pretty simple what you need for Cabiria. You need a combination of surface irons. For me, it's a two fish jigs, Giga, and a 240 and a mini. If you had those three, you're kind of doing well. And then I like 170 size jerk baits. 170 size jerk baits. A lot of companies make really good ones. I'm really partial to the AFCO version and the Yozuri version, but Shimano makes another one, and I've seen the Shimano kind of dominate everything else and not at times. And beyond that, you don't really need much more. I did have a trip down there where we'd get on a spot, you'd kind of wail on them, and it'd be doubles and triples, and then you'd kind of pick through the school. And I would go grab my other rod that had a MC slug on it, a 7-inch slug that Cory made special for me with a 2-ounce lead head. And I would cast that out, let it hit the bottom, and I would just speed burn it like I was pretending to be Cory Sanden. I would just speed burn it and stop and go, speed burn it and stop and go. And I got some of the most violent rip your rod out of your hand bites from that when nothing else would get a bite,
And that was mostly like after the flurry would end?
That was after we had picked them clean. Now in hindsight, I probably could have started with that and seen where that went, but I always utilize that to kind of try to target the fish that were below the fish we were.
That's what I'm saying. Catching. Yeah, you can immediately visualize a scenario. All that fish is up top and all that activity is high, and then the dust settles, but there's the one or two fish that didn't get in the mix that are hunkered in the hole that there's one last shot to eat or not eat, and they were smart and they didn't get caught up in the mix of the craziness.
And kind of in my mind's eye, I was thinking that would be a great presentation to potentially catch something out of the ordinary. I really want to catch a Gulf grouper or a broomtail, or I'm not Rock Rick Maxa. I don't have any golden groupers under my belt, but I want one of those too. Yeah. So I thought that would be a good. But to be honest with you, most fish that I hooked in that fashion rocked me so violently I never even got to go look at what I hooked.
That sounds like fun.
I love it, man. I'm in. Well, a great phone call, and appreciate it very much. How about this text coming through? It says, "Good morning, guys. I bought a brand new Talica 12 and 16A at Tackle Days this year. The reels have been amazing. They really are everything you guys had mentioned, and I'm surprised at how much better I like them than the previous generation. I'm curious if you guys might know when we could expect to see the 8 or 10 size. I'd really love to add that to the arsenal. Thanks for the great show," from Alex in San Carlos.
Are they coming?
Just like, I mean, we tried so hard to pull every little thing we could out of Benny yesterday. Who is the guy if you want to pull info out of, because he's a tester, you know, and Shimano, one thing they do is they are so good about field testing all of their stuff before it comes out to market. So there's little guys that we can peel good info out of. And Pete tried real hard yesterday to get Captain Benny to slip up. I feel like he got a little something. I can't confirm it, and I tried. Let me tell you, I tried to get that out of Benny. He's a company man. He didn't say, but I feel like we might have made a Freudian slip and got a cool piece of nugget info, but I can't be sure. The 8 and 10, although I cannot tell you this with any type of certainty, and it is the truth, I would tell you if I knew. I mean, just following the system that it's been with the reintroduce at ICAST, I think that you'll probably see that reel this July. Yeah. You know, that's what they've been doing. They've been taking the 2 of the series. They've made the new versions. They've introduced them at ICAST. I would suspect that that's when we will see something. I got no confirmation on that. That's just an educated guess. But Alex, my guess is you'll see that reel in July.
In ICAST, the industry show happens in the beginning of July, like the first week, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Right there. So that's when they would
That's it.
Publicly debut it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
nothing more than a guess, but that's what I'm thinking.
It kills me that Benny Florentino knows and he won't tell us.
I know. Come on, Benny.
Benny Florentino is a lot like Cory Sanden. They're both piggy banks of secrets, and I want to know these secrets, man.
No secrets here.
I love it. Why don't we jump back into the phones, Cory?
Oh, Sam. How about Sam from Irvine? Good morning, Sam.
Good morning. Great show, guys. Hey, I'm watching you on your
Scary
YouTube thing here.
I'm sorry.
You should. Yeah. The thing I'm saying is you should have like a presentation table there, you know, to put like your slug base so we can see what you're talking about.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like it.
Back to the my question. I'm not a big bass guy, but twice I've been to the Coronado specifically this year. Like once on a Mexicat and once on the Freeman to just target bass. But you know, I just pulled out all these swim baits that I had, and I have a waxwing rod with a 300 EJ on it, and I use that a lot. But what would you, Cory, take to fish the Coronados? Your swim baits and stuff like that.
Well,
what amazed me is like a yellow-headed swim bait was like the killer one, but some of those furry red and brown ones were too. But I didn't have fish the slug or anything like that. So
for sure, I mean that waxwing rod you're talking about is I think a 7 and 8. I love the 7. The original 7-footer was kind of one of my. I still have a couple as a matter of fact.
Was it the 7'11" version?
Yeah, we might not have any more.
Either way, that's a cool setup.
It is, and it's got a lot of bend. For those that don't know, it's very parabolic.
Yeah,
but you could load up on a 20-pound yellow and still
totally
get them to the boat.
Yeah, and it's perfect for any type of swim bait, like lead head swim bait application, and even for kind of the smaller MC weedless size baits. I call it a 5-inch or a 4-inch bait. But for the larger baits, like a slug or the 8-inch weedless, it'd be a little soft.
And like fishing up against the islands like that, there's, I mean, the kelp thing really never been huge down there, but right up against the rocks, you could be in 40, 50 feet of water. Everything from the surface iron along the edge to a swim bait down the foam.
Yeah.
Or a lead-headed slug, like even the 8-inch on a 1-ounce lead head going through that water column. 3 things that come to my mind.
Yeah,
right
totally. Yeah.
Done.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Hey, appreciate the phone call very much. Cory, time to find out what's going on the water.
Hey, we've got Yusef, the angler's realtor, with the Catch Report, and sponsored by the Fish Pros of Fisherman's Processing in San Diego, where you get your premier processing experience. Check out the easier online system to book your processing for your long-range trips with more team members. Fisherman's Processing stays far ahead of the rest and more same-day capacity and the finest customer service. Stop by the location in Old Town, or you can check them out at fishermansprocessing.com. And very convenient location there, right Old Town on Taylor Street.
No doubt about it. We got the Angler's Realtor on the line. Good morning, Yusef.
Good morning, guys. Great show today. How are you doing?
We're doing good, man. Just having fun, talking fishing.
Talking good times.
Good. All right, guys. Well, it's going into we're for real going into winter fishing now.
Yeah, it's December.
It Yeah, exactly. It's about time, right? Squid are building still all around all the islands. Same story. We've got some rock fishing. There is still some yellowtail fishing over near Clemente. It looks like same stuff. Morning, prior to sunrise until first crack of light is when they're getting bit. That is kind of old info. We don't have as much coverage over there right now as we'd like. The big news right now is yellows. They're popping up between Crystal Pier and the northwest corner. It isn't a giant, massive fish, it's normal this type of year stuff, but guys are getting them. And they've been pretty much popping up every day. I did skip Santa Monica Bay. Santa Monica Bay is still doing pretty well on the bass bite. Outside of that, we are rolling into this winter style fishing.
Hey, that's
mostly just rock fishing at this point.
But we'll take that report. Squid up and down the beach. Opportunity for game fish, always exists. It's not August. It's not going to be roll up and limits every time. But you know what this does? There's lack of crowd. There's lack of people. And this is when you earn rad ones, like setting up, making your own bait, or making your own bait and transporting it to somewhere else. I mean, just put in the work. If you want to set a goal for a wintertime, put in the work of setting up and making squid somewhere and then transporting that to an area that you fish on the regular, but do the same thing with live bait. Take a tank of live squid to your then, your little cod area where you've got your handful of stones and you usually pick off your fish, and see what happens when you fish that same deal set up appropriately with a tank of squid, and watch the difference that you get to have. And you earn wintertime fish, and there's something that's cool about it. And you said it best, Yusuf. There's plenty of opportunities for it right now.
100%. And this is also a good time to get really good with your surface iron game.
Yeah.
Make sure those irons are kicking, and you know how to fish a surface iron. And this gives you lots of little pop-ups, that you can chase down and really learn how to put those fish that are up and down, on the boat. That's what makes a hero. Many times.
Great way to say it, buddy. Appreciate that very much. Now, you mentioned that December, where sometimes it's slow in the fishing thing. Your world in terms of the housing market seems to ebb and flow a bit. How's that been going with the Anglers Realty?
Well, the past week has really kicked up a notch. We went from having 2 to 3 showings a week at my listings to just going completely berserk again. So who knows? It's the holidays or something. I feel it in the air. We're going to start really moving some units here again, and this market's going to kick up again with interest rates lowering. So
I like it.
It's coming.
Well, if somebody wants to keep in touch with the best that's in the business, and boy, when we had you and your brother on the show, I mean, the number of calls and texts that were just flooding in about what a great experience they had with you on their behalf in the realtor game. How do we find you?
You can get me on my cell phone, 619-277-2169, on social media at Cal Realty, or you can get me on my website, sportsmansrealty.com. If you'd like a free home evaluation, go to SoCalHomeEval.com, put in your address. I won't haunt you or bother you.
You're the best, buddy.
Right.
Appreciate it very much, Yusuf. And if you want to save $30 on a brand new membership to fishdope.com, you can use the code Hookup now. All lowercase, no space, saves you $30, and it's a great gift. 100% transferable. 100%. If you go fishing with a bud and he takes you all the time on his boat and you want to do something fun for the fishing season, get him a Fish Dope subscription. Going to keep him in the zone, in the info all year long. Great report, Yusuf. Appreciate it very much. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Appreciate it, buddy.
I think we've got a special report on the line too, huh?
Yeah, we got the man, Captain Frank Lepresti's on the line. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Frank.
Well, good morning, Corey. Good morning, Rick. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Talking fishing. Pete is out of the studio, so it's just the three of us hanging out, having a good time this morning.
Well, thank God you got him doing your research, right?
That's right. You don't want to buy a car from a guy that doesn't know how to drive, man. You got to keep that guy out fishing.
All right. Well, you're talking about this winter fishing, and usually December kind of slows down long range. It's just the opposite. It's better than ever.
Crazy.
I don't know if you saw the picture of John Collins' fish. Did you see that?
We did, and we talked about it yesterday. But for those that haven't had an opportunity, what a trophy. Tell us about what John did on that last trip on the RP.
Well, he had a 290-pounder.
Wow.
Along with another 240-pounder.
Oh, my goodness.
How's that for a limit?
He's doing very, very well. And I just wanted to talk about that for just a minute. I'm sure you got most of the report yesterday, but it's off the wall. Even this morning, Jonathan Yamati is putting the last touches of a few more bluefin 90 to 120 pounders on the boat. And it's just phenomenal. Aliar had a great trip. He had some wahoo on his trip. All the yellowfin he wanted, bluefin, yellowtail, calico bass. I just don't know how it gets any better for a long-range trip.
We got a text.
And also,
I was going to say, we got a text from Eric Sheets. You know, Cal and Eric are going to be on the radio show next Sunday. And they've got the radio show on in the galley on the Supreme this morning, and they're coming home from that 10-day. And he basically just said, like, the boat is full. He goes, we're full of everything. And they did everything on that 10-day trip. Epic yellowfin, giant bluefin. They had wahoo. They had bass fishing. They had cod fishing. Like, everything that exists in SoCal, they did it on that 10-day trip. And, like, every one of those categories, it sounds like they smashed them. What a fun time of year to go fishing. And that was, and Eric's on the Supreme right now, riding home.
Yeah, they were catching calico bass all day yesterday and throwing them back and having a good time. So it was, it's just been phenomenal fishing. And I can also mention that Aliar's got a 3-day trip leaving Tuesday that's got 4 openings if anybody wants to jump on last minute. And that's pretty much it. It just doesn't get any better than it is right now, okay?
You had talked about those December trips that Aliar had a while ago, and people were hesitant because that, who knows if that fish was going to remain good. Well, it didn't just remain good; it got better. I mean, what an opportunity to go fishing. And I think the last time we had Aliar on, and he was talking about, I've got a couple of spots on a couple of trips in December, and then I don't have room again until the following year in December again. Like, this is an opportunity to get to go on that boat and just see some unbelievable fishing.
Yes, it is. That's for sure. All right, Rick, Cory, thank you all very, very much. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Frank.
Brandon's in here too.
I'm also here. Hi, Frank.
Morning, Brendan. All right. See you guys later. Bye.
Frank, appreciate the phone call very much. Well, that's going to wrap up one hell of a fishdope.com report. Hey, Cory.
Yeah, it is. I mean, hey, the three of us are in here with Frank. And hey, sponsored by
Brandon, too.
Right, exactly. Brandon, too.
If the greatest of all time doesn't want to mention me, that's his right. All right.
It is sponsored by Terrafin Sea Surface Temperature Charts. Focus your fishing on the most productive areas by using Terrafin Sea Surface Temperature. They also have the chlorophyll, currents, and more. With Terrafin Mobile, you can access your charts on your phone or your mobile device. Check terrafin.com for more information.
Hey, when we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming. More great info, more great phone calls, more of you and Brandon too. When we return, it's Let's Talk Hookup on the Sports Grid Radio Network and that Let's Talk Hookup app.
Hi, this is Christy Wheeler with Dawson & Associates Insurance, your full-service agency specializing in boat insurance, including charter, commercial, and personal use boats, business insurance, and travel insurance. We work hard to get you the most coverage for the best prices and guarantee the lowest rates available on all the travel plans we offer. So give us a call today at Dawson & Associates Insurance at 619-460-5615 for a free quote today.
Rock Cod Rick here to tell you about Parker Boats and the guys at West Coast Marine. By now, you all know my boat partner and I bought a new 25 Parker center console from crew at West Coast Marine in Costa Mesa. We've known for a long time that a Parker was the boat for us. It's a stout workhorse of a boat built to last and get you home when the seas get rough. Parker Boats at the launch ramp, the offshore tuna grounds. You wake up in the morning on an overnight trip and there they are. Parker Boats of all sizes, fishing in the same areas as the sporties. There's a good reason for it: fishability and seaworthiness. West Coast Marine has several new Parkers in stock and ready for delivery, and they have more on the way. Don't get caught without a reliable boat when fishing is this good. Take it from me, if you're ready for a new Parker at a fair, upfront, and honest deal, you need to see West Coast Marine. Check out the inventory and information at westcoastmarine.com.
Long-range fishing, nothing beats Shimano. Hi, this is Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle, the saltwater tackle professionals. Come check out the Shimano Talica, the pinnacle of lever drag 2-speed reels. The Talica features Shimano's Hagani body. When throwing jigs, the Shimano Trinidad is your top choice. With the extreme cranking power and Shimano Super Free Spool provides extreme castability. You'll be able to put your jig in the Wahoo zone. For all your Shimano needs, visit us at Fisherman's Landing Tackle at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
Hey, this is Rosie with Cedros Sport Fishing. We have always been the leader with all-inclusive fishing trips to Cedros Island. We now have 2 lodges to choose from and both sit on the cliffs edge with relaxing ocean views and gorgeous morning sunrises. With direct flights departing to the CBX in San Diego, we are committed to providing first-class service to our guests and an unforgettable fishing experience. Come check out the yellowtail and calico bass capital in the world. Nobody does it better than Cedros Sport Fishing. Call me at 619-772-7570 or check us out at cedrosportfishing.com. Book soon. Trips are going fast.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and I'll tell you, man, I've had such a fun time today. It's great. We still have a half an hour left, right? But just talking with Brandon and Rick, and we've talked everything from salto to striper in the surf to good yellowtail fishing right now on the San Diego.
Super fun to be doing what we would otherwise be doing if the 3 of us were in a room together, but we're doing it on the radio. Super cool.
And the lines are full, but if you do want to join us, 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app. Rick's going through the text if you're watching us live right now.
So many good ones, man.
A lot of them. It's crazy. And we're giving away a full-day trip on the San Diego, who is currently this last week.
Yeah.
It's probably had 100 yellows on the boat.
Yeah, they're on them. They have them dialed for sure.
Matt's the man.
White Lightning, Jig Jesus, whatever you want to call him. He knows how to catch a yellowtail anywhere he goes.
Which is cool because a lot of people don't know, and those listening will now know that you talked about earlier how you and Matt grew up together as kids.
Yeah, we worked at Fisherman's Landing when we were both in our early 20s, between I came in late, for his career there and for Rick's career there. But when I got there, Rick and Matt both taught me basically everything I know about surface iron fishing or jig fishing, period. It's been super fun growing up with him, and it's super cool to see him the star captain now.
Dude, he's the man, right, on the San Diego.
I always say the same thing, man. The rental room at Fisherman's Landing is what clearly breeds the very best 3/4 day, full day local yellowtail fishermen. Both Booger and Brawla's first job was working at the rental room at Fisherman's Landing.
That's crazy,
Isn't it?
So I'm assuming at some point Pete's going to be running a sonar and just kicking ass. Like at some point, like it's got to be happening.
But then I think about all the cool captains that have come from the other side, Seaforth.
Oh my God!
Right?
To the who's who list,
dude. Hearing Joel Ralston on this show,
wasn't that fun?
Oh man, you got to go back and listen to it. He's such a cool guy and nothing but a people pleaser, and just megaphone of a voice and just a cool guy.
The Condor has always been a great boat. It's big, it's comfortable, it's been at Fisherman's Landing for years. It doesn't need the accolades, and I don't say this like it needed the help, but what a fun addition to an already successful operation, but also like a fun, fresh new breath. Like, I don't mean this in like the way that the boat was bad. It's just it's extra good now, and he brings that uniqueness to it. Like, Joel's a great captain and puts people on fish with the best of them. What he does better than anybody is when it's an adverse condition, you didn't catch him. The vibe on the boat is fun with him behind the wheel, no matter what.
And
if you're catching him, it's that much better. And he's screaming and yelling with the best of them. But like, that guy can turn a bad time into a good one really, really good.
And he mentioned a name that I could not imagine if the two of them were together.
Oh my God,
Tim
I heard it
Linsky.
too. That can't happen. Like that's just not a good thing. Yeah, that was a blast from the past, and that should. I don't know if we have enough. I don't know if we have enough to make that happen or not. But boy, it would be fun. That's for sure.
Oh my God.
Well, the phones are packed up. Everybody's dying to talk. Why don't we jump back into them, Cory?
Let's do it. How about what am I seeing here? Tom from Temecula.
What's up, Tom?
Morning, Tom.
Morning, guys. Great show. Great information. Just encyclopedia of fishing information today. Anyway, I got a question on a rod. Looking at, the tuna shows on TV, when they're catching those big bluefin, they're using, seems like longer rods and roller guide rods. And, looking back on some of the videos from yesteryear on trips out of San Diego, a lot of those rods for the tuna were roller guide rods. I have a couple of those that I used for marlin back in the early days, and caught a lot of big marlin on them. Is there advantages or disadvantages to using those for like knife fishing, straight up and down stuff for the tuna that we have here every year?
With rod components, there's always going to be advantages and disadvantages to both. The roller guides were incredibly popular out here for a long period of time because the way that we were fishing, they did a better job. We used all monofilament line, which wore down at a much faster rate than Spectra does. Or if we were, using a combination of the two, the top shots were really long. So there was a long amount of time that your line was wearing through the guides when you were fishing mono, and roller guide just did a flat out better job of protecting that line than a ring guide did. It rolled off of a roller instead of being drug over a ring, and so your mono stayed at a higher amount of strength for a lot longer, and it was the best mousetrap. And there's plenty to argue that it still is. What has also changed is some of the insert materials that are used in guides nowadays are not just a round piece of stainless steel. High technology insert materials, the silicon carbide and silicon nitrate and all of these like fancy materials that they use that are now no longer, the general term was ceramic. Oh, that rod has ceramic inserts, and you don't want to use that because the Spectra is going to cut through it. Well, that's just not how it is any day. They're made that are very strong but have super low friction, so the line rolls across them. And we out here, Southern California, we use a lot of Spectra these days, where it doesn't matter what you're rolling that thing across. It's such a strong material that you likely don't need it. So sometimes a ring guide will allow you a little bit lighter, or maybe a lesser cost, or a real big entry, so your connection goes through there. Going back to your question, why you see those on the Wicked Tuna guys, their rigging is a lot different than ours. And the style of roller guide that they use is very big. Like some of those guides, you can put a number 2 pencil through their opening.
Wow.
And the reason is they use a lot of swivels in their connections that wind through the guides and onto their reels. So with as strong and as slick as an SIC ring guide is, what it doesn't like to have is a swivel ripping through the guide train, with a big fish pulling it through. That can chip and then create damage. So those roller guides for them are incredibly strong and provide the longevity. And you still, you have the roller, which is a good thing. But, the rigging that they use, where a swivel might be going through the connection and through all the guides, won't damage it like it would on a ring guide.
I have a question though, Rick. Why would they, with all the killer knots out, why would they use a swivel? Like what? To like unswivel the tangles? Or
I think a lot of that is they're fishing super heavy monofilament, and they're oftentimes fishing large
300 or 400 pound mono. Or
I don't even know how thick it is, but and oftentimes they're fishing a large dead bait that just kind of drift with, and it just spins in a circle.
The spin would be a thought of mine.
So the swivel. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know either. You know what I mean? But like you say, big dead baits that are in the rod holder, that are rigged very specifically. Like that was one of the fun things when all the Wicked Tuna guys were on the show. Like that's what they had in their contract, is like, we will do all these things. We'll show you all our fisheries. You all but never see the highliners rigging their baits on the show. And like, that was part of their contract, is we're not going to show how we do this.
Really?
And they have a way of fishing dead baits that drift in the current that look good. You take the evolution of ballyhoo fishing from over the years. I mean, that's all taking a dead bait that, rigged properly, it looks alive, and they do a really good job getting bites on those big ones on dead baits.
Fishing on the RP trunk fishing.
Yeah.
Same, I mean, it's similar, but downscaled version,
Totally.
right?
And I say that like I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I don't know why the swivels, but that's how those guys do it. And sometimes the rigging drives you crazy.
And that's why the roller guides.
When we went to Louisiana, they make stuff so difficult for no reason. Like the rigging The rigging was like, okay, we're going to take this Spectra, we're going to do a Bimini, we're going to do this, we're going to put this line on there, we're going to tie this, and then we're going to have a heavier piece of leader down below. We're going to do this. And like, well, why wouldn't we just attach the leader to the Spectra? Like, let's just do that. I can do that in like 2 seconds. Nah, that's just not how we do it down here. It's like, well, I'm pretty sure this will work just fine. Let's try it. And like, see, this works great. Like, yeah, it's just not our thing. Now we get paid to be a captain, man. I'm going to show you some captain things right now and put a bunch of loops and leaders in this. But hey, everybody's different the way they different for sure.
And to one of Tom's questions in there, he asked about could he still use his old roller guided rod to nighttime fish for bluefin here locally? It's a question we get a lot in the tackle shop, and the simple answer to that question always is yes, but a lot of it depends on how long is that rod. So a lot of those older rods that were all roller guided and were meant to be fished in your harness and belt, and they're 5.5 foot in length, or maybe even 5 foot in length, and that is just not quite appropriate for your nighttime bluefin jig fishing.
Too short?
It's just too short. When it comes to business time and the gaffs come out, those things are going to do big looping circles, and if they rub you on the bottom of that boat, you're in trouble.
Toast.
It's just not how we fish now. At the time, the reels didn't make as much power or make as much leverage, and you needed your rod to make up for it. You also, at that time, you didn't put the rod on the rail. So the shorter the rod was, the more leverage you were able to make with it, because you were having to make up for the fact that you're doing this with a 6.0 and not a TAC 20. The TAC 20 in low gear, all you need to do is turn the handle, and the handle is going to bury the rod tip. The 6.0 wasn't going to do that. You were just going to wind against your drag slipping, so you needed the rod to move it. You flash forward to now and trying to put that thing on the rail, your 5.5 foot rod just doesn't give you enough length outboard of the railing. So when that fish is doing its inside circle, your line's going to be rubbing on the underside of the boat. So now if you're fishing with that short rod and he makes his inside circle, you need to get the rod off of the rail, get your whole body leaned over and get that rod pointed straight down to correct the angle. So now you're trying to then get the rod back into position to get a couple of turns when he's on the outside so you can still gain line. It's just, you become to the point where you're fighting your tackle more than you're not. It doesn't mean the rod doesn't work. It's just not the way that we do it the most effective now. You could still put yourself in a belt and harness, and if you had the room, of course you could still kill that fish. The rod didn't stop working, but we have found a much easier on the angler style to do it.
So now. Crazy to think 25 years ago, it was so uncool to put your rod on the rail. And now it's the technique.
What I love about that too is like the guys who, it's the opposite of how most things, like the guys who developed that were the crew members. Like, it's like, oh, you're a wuss if you do that. And it was the crew of the guys back there, like, what are you dumb, man? Do this. Check this out. Look how easy this is, And it just came from there. Like, I think it's pretty darn cool. Well, hey, let's grab another phone call, Cory.
Okay, let's do it. How about Charlie? Charlie calling from La Mirada. Good morning, Charlie.
What's up, Charlie? Looks like we might have lost Charlie there. So we had a great text. There he goes. Go ahead, Charlie.
Good morning, Charlie.
Yeah, I'm here. Good morning, Pete, Rick, and guest. A great show this morning. My question is, I originally fished for stripers up in the Delta, up in the San Francisco Bay with my uncle as a younger kid. And we used to fish with bullheads and mudsuckers and in some occasions grass or ghost shrimp. Is that application doable out here on the southern coast that I'm hearing all these stripers showing up, or is that mainly for the in-bay of San Francisco Bay?
I bet it would work 100%. I mean, mudsuckers are a thing here. A lot of people don't have any clue what you're talking about. I do.
When you say bullhead, are you referring to bullhead catfish?
No, they're similar to a mudsucker, and they've got horns coming out the head.
You as confused as I am?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
The horns. Yeah, we would snip the horns off of the bullheads because sometimes on occasions the thorns on the bullhead would catch the fish and they would break off as you were reeling the fish in. So
wow, I've never even heard of this
rig with the bullhead.
But I'm so glad Brandon is here to also not be aware of this at all. I love it. I love it.
This is some NorCal nonsense.
You'll have none of it. No, I think that's awesome.
But Charlie, you can catch a striper on that stuff here. But the reason they catch them on jerk baits, swim baits, that kind of thing is they're really oriented toward the grunion and the smelt fish and the stuff in the surf. Sand crabs, they catch them on that too. But much cooler to catch them on a reaction bait too. I mean, that's
Yeah.
You can do it right here in our backyard, man.
That's a great one. Hey, I appreciate the phone call very much. And just to sneak in another as we're coming down to the line there, Darren from Menifee sent a text. Good morning, guys. What a fun show. I've had a couple Bubba blades break on me, and I'm dying to reassess my fillet knife situation. I'm on my way to fish the artificial reefs in Mission Bay, and I'm hoping you guys could give me a recommendation on where I should go for new fillet knives. Cory, I know you're super into the harvest on fish. What you got a recommendation you could send his way, fillet knife wise?
I own several of the AFTCO blades. Never broken, never, no issues with them at all. Stay sharp, easy to sharpen, but the good old Forstner,
Yeah, still the best, or one of,
Yeah, but I mean, you have to be adequate in sharpening with the stone and getting it down. Where the AFTCO, it's already got the edges and everything there, and it's a lot easier to sharpen just easily on a stone.
But if he wants to obtain one of these fine quality knives, there's no other place I can think of other than Fisherman's Landing Tackle Shop. The largest, most spectacular display of fillet knives available, and those AFCOs I also used all year, and they're pretty incredible how well they hold up.
And on his way to the Mission Bay Reefs, he could stop at Seaford, tie up right at the dock, and
I guess he could.
You want to talk about another great thing? People always talk about like gifts and what to get. There's never a time that's not a great thing to have. I mean, even whether it be one of those new Gamakatsu knives, whether it's one of those great fillet knives from AFCO, whether it is a Victorinox, a very shape or style, like that's something that is always well received. It's an under $100, whatever you decide, and something that they're going to have forever. And having two fillet knives, never a bad deal. Like mine migrate into the kitchen far more than they live in their, in the real bag. So
I keep one in the boat, one in the house.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, just different scenarios. If you have a great 6-inch blade knife, it's nice to have an 8-inch blade. It's nice to have So anyways, a good call, and I'm with you.
The AFCO were good enough. I bought one, and I bought two more. So that's just to let you know.
I like it. I like it very much. Well, let's try and sneak one more caller in there, Cory.
How about is that Mike? Jake from Point Loma.
What's up, Jake?
Hey guys, love the show. Love hearing about the surface iron stuff. I wanted to pick your guys' brains. I know everybody has their favorite surface iron, if it's a 7X or JRI. I was wondering if you guys could quickly share a story of maybe your favorite iron, the best swimmer, and what it was.
We got about 30 seconds, and we'll let the surface iron guru answer that. Brandon, go ahead.
Well, I guess my favorite surface iron that I ever owned was a J-Pot. I grew up watching RJ and Shorty on the New Seaforth fishing small jigs, and the J-Pot was one that they often had tied on their rod. And one day I found in Fisherman's Landing Tackle Shop a J-Pot that outperformed every lure I ever owned, and I lost it to a bad gaff job one time on a 3/4 day boat. And I won't mention the person, but he's a famous person that missed the gaff shot, and it still breaks my heart to this day.
My favorite lure that I have tied on my rod that I haven't taken off all Coronado Island season is a 2-fish jigs 270. It's what I fish with. It's not because Brandon is sitting next to me. It's because it fished great all year long, and I can buy another one tomorrow that's going to work just as good if I need to. And I think you make a hell of a lure, and I'm in love with it. It's my favorite jig that I have.
Boy, that's my dog.
I dig it.
That's good stuff. All right. Hey, we're going to be right back. We're going to find out who's won this full day trip on the San Diego when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app and that Sports Grid Radio Network.
Hey everyone, James Holst here with Norsk Lithium, the official battery partner of Let's Talk Hookup. Here at Norsk Lithium, we have two goals that drive who we are and what we do. The first is to make the highest quality, longest lasting lithium batteries available with a complete lineup of batteries that include 12, 24, 36 volt and starting batteries. Second, in addition to offering a 10-year warranty on all Norsk Lithium marine batteries, we provide amazing customer service before and after the sale. Check us out online at norsklithium.com. That's NORSK lithium.com, or call us at 831-232-9063. Or to see Norsk Lithium batteries in person, stop by the Trolling Motor Doctor in Lakewood or Anglers Marine in Anaheim and see why Norsk Lithium batteries should be in your boat.
No matter where the adventure takes you, we've got you powered. Norsk Lithium.
Give your boat the love it deserves and install a custom sea deck kit from Blue Seas Fabrication. Blue Seas is the West Coast's only certified sea deck fabricator and installer. Sea deck upgrades the look and feel of any boat, old or new. Sea deck non-skid decking adds comfort, convenience, safety, and value. Let the experts from Blue Seas Fabrication custom fit your deck, bridge, and interiors with stylish, durable, stain-resistant, and easy-to-clean sea deck. Check BlueSeasFabrication.com and enhance your fishing experience. Hey, San Diego, the Ford Get Holiday Ready sales event is going on now at your San Diego County Ford dealers. The biggest deals of the year to finish 2024, featuring America's best-selling truck, Ford F-Series, leading for 47 straight years. Or check out the full lineup of versatile Ford SUVs, including Bronco or Bronco Sport. Don't wait, come take a test drive today. Get holiday ready only at your local San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up.
There are moments that change our perception of what is and isn't possible. Cosmic shifts where the stars align with the earth to alter how we see the world. The release of King Tide is one of those moments. This is the crowning achievement of Costa's 40-year legacy on the water. The culmination of every innovation.
Give us a heads up on the 60 seconds out, JP.
Point. Wins and losses and highs and lows have brought us here.
Yeah, you're going to come back from this and basically just have to go right to break.
To achieve
right. You got like
potential on the water. Costa King Tide. Rule the water.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. We're going to find out. Go ahead, Brandon, flip the honors there.
1 minute.
Hey, look at that. A texter happens to be Mark.
Mark and La Quinta.
There it is. Congratulations.
Mark, appreciate it very much. Boys, this was a super fun show, getting to hang with you both. Great time. Not nearly enough info, or not nearly enough time for all the info to give out, but thanks for doing this when Pete was out of town, man. I had a lot of fun. It was awesome.
Dude, from surf halibut, salto, surface iron fishing, count me in, man.
Yeah, we'll take it. Brandon had a great time, and look forward to buying some two-fish jigs from you at the tackle store this year. Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, appreciate you listening. Another great show coming for you next weekend. Next Saturday, Mike Lum and Frank LaPreste are both going to be joining us. We'll be talking Captain Rollo's Kids at Sea. And the next Sunday, Cal and Eric from Cal's Custom Built Reels will be joining us. Eric fresh off that 10-day trip on the Supreme. Couple of great shows next Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 9 a.m. right here on the Let's Talk Hookup app, the Sports Grid Radio Network, Facebook, and YouTube Live. We'll see you then.
great stuff, guys.
JP, thanks for everything, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yep, talk next week.
Okay, bud. Take care.